Welcome, everyone. We are live. It's Friday. Hey, it is. I made it. Oh my goodness. I sure did. I did. Contentment. Contentment. That's what I wanted to talk about today. It's a state of happiness and satisfaction. That's what it means, according to the Oxford Dictionary. A state of happiness and satisfaction. Now you may ask, how does one accomplish that? Through practice, but not in the way that the world teaches us. You see, when you know that the outcome of planting is reaping, the outcome of rehearsal is acting it out, do you need to fret about things? No. You see, I was reading this morning this person's post, and in their post they said, I'm done. I'm tired. It's been however many years and I still don't have my manifestation. This is what I mean when I say that this has been taught in such a poor fashion, right? I want you to listen to the sentence again. I'm tired of this. I still don't have my manifestation. And it's been ... however long. What does that sound like? Desperation, anger, frustration. As within, so without. Clearly, that is a person who still believes that manifestation is a thing that one pursues, as opposed to the comprehension that as you are, so must you do. See, that's where contentment comes from. It comes from the knowing. It comes from the knowing of what you have and what you're capable of doing. It comes from knowing the fact that if you say, I'm going to change my life, well, I know what I want, where I am and what I want to change it to. And I know what I need to do. Well, whatever does one need to do? There's that word need, have, must. Seems so potent, those words. But it is simply the knowing, and we always know. We truly always know. That's why I'm sitting here this morning thinking to myself, wait a minute. I don't know how this happened. I'm sitting here looking for, because I saw the outcome. I'm like, wait, where's the matching mood? Where's the matching mood? How do these two things correspond? Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, looking for how the two things corresponded, the cause and the effect. Because I want to know, right? So this is what I mean when I say it is always about self-examination, right? But sometimes we run around and we say, well, I just want to be happy. But happy is a word. What is the action of happy? That's the question. The action of happy is knowing. Think about this. If you know that there are no surprises, if you know that you get to say, well, I know how this is going to go. Well, how do I know it's going to go a particular way? Because the outcome of holding this is that. And you don't lose your cool. You don't fret, because those things, fretting and worrying and panic, are contrary. They are their own mood. And every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. And it's not to say that one should not feel those things. We are going to feel them because we have bodies. So you can't suppress it. You can't try and stifle it. But you will understand it, though. Because when you feel it, and then you recognize how you're talking to yourself based upon how you feel, and you're like, wait, well, I know the outcome of this mood. Well, yeah, you know what? I don't want that outcome. And you change the mood in whatever way is natural for you. Some people go walking. Some people go dancing. Some people paint. Some people draw. Some people knit, crochet, macrame. Some people do whatever that relief is that brings about that different mood, as opposed to beating yourself up. Oh my God, why can't I change that? No, look at what that feels like. If you know what that feels like, you know how you're going to behave. You know, when you look at somebody and say, not today, not today. See that mood that you're in? Well, that's a fighting mood. So that's why you're saying to them, not today, because you know how you feel. And you know if they, quote unquote, push you far enough, you know they FAFO, right? How do you know? Because of the way you feel. You feel the cause right there. And all you're telling people is, you know what? Back up and give me some space until this mood passes. Because I know if I act from this mood, somebody's going to catch these hands. So just let me be until this mood passes. You see, if we did that, we'd be helping ourselves in a large way. Then you would start to feel naturally, you're going to start to feel happy. Why? Because you knew, you stood there and you watched yourself do a particular thing. You saw that mood and you said, you know what? I'm just going to stay here. I'm just going to stay here till this mood passes. I'm just going to breathe until this mood passes. But Angela, what if I'm in a group? Ooh, that's a beautiful question. What if you are in a group? How do you hold your own? You hold your own through practice. And this is why I reminded myself that my practice needs more practice. Why? Because it's the Karate Kid. He goes, your focus needs more focus. Well, my practice clearly needs more practice. Why is that? Man, know thyself. When you know yourself, you know how you're going to behave. Contentment comes from there. Contentment comes out of the knowing that you're the one who's setting the quote unquote boundary. You're the one who's saying, this is the type of person I am. I heard someone talking about the 4 agreements. Great book. And one of the ones is to be impeccable with your word. To be impeccable with your word. Because when you hear people describe it, they're like, they do catch themselves, you know, right? They do catch themselves. They do. It really does something to you. It does you don't assume. But if you listen to Neville Goddard, he tells you an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So if you keep believing that thing about yourself or about a situation over and over and over again, what happens? So the assumption then becomes the habitual way of thinking, right? It just becomes a habitual way of thinking, the way we assume, right? You could assume the persona. Because remember, step 2 is to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. So you have to assume the role. To take it on is what assume means. To take it on, to put it on, to embody it. So it's not that one should not assume. It is that one should choose what to assume. Because an assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact, whether it's true or false. As long as you persist in having it, it will become. Why? Because the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. But again, we use assume as just a word. They tell you, ask you, me. Assume. Without recognizing that. To assume just means to take it on. So what do you want to take on? Well, that depends. See, what you take on is going to come from your mood. It's going to come from your mood. And this is the beauty of what, when you, how's that saying? If you know, you know. that cool little catchphrase, if you know, you know. This is why if you find yourself chasing peace of mind, chasing, oh, I gotta get this. I'm so tired of being tired. I gotta have contentment. One does not force these things. One gets in the mood of these things. If you were living a life of contentment, would you be getting up every day fretting? One about who likes you, who doesn't like you? Would you be agitated by whatever's going on? Would you? Do you know why you wouldn't be? Because you know how to change. So if you know how to change, well then, you don't have to raise your blood pressure unnecessarily. And here's the thing. I like that phrase, though, to raise your blood pressure. Nobody else raises it. See, we think it's salt. It's not that it is salt. It is the mood. Well, think about it. The mood that you're in. This is why we have a category called comfort food. Comfort foods are usually, especially if they're not homemade, they're usually high in sodium. They're usually high in sugar, right? They're usually high in preservatives and blah, blah, blah. And if you are in the mood to comfort yourself because you're feeling a particular way, you start to consume these foods in excess because they will match the mood that you're in. So now you're feeling this way. If you didn't feel that way, you would not eat the comfort food. See, this is what I'm saying. We blame, oh, it's the food. No, it is the mood that causes you to eat. It is the mood that causes you to drink. It's the mood that causes you to smoke. It's the mood that causes you to act. Period. You see, when you choose to live a healthy lifestyle, you'll notice people start to do things in moderation. The longer you've been making that decision to live a healthier lifestyle and it becomes your habit, naturally you eat better. Naturally. Now, if you're just in the fad of doing things, you say, well, I just want to eat gluten-free. I want to do this. And then your grocery cart is filled with gluten-free cookies and gluten-free candy. And you're like, wait, what? Where's the healthy lifestyle? This is what I mean. We tend to do things as fads instead of a true lifestyle change. So that means that mood is still running the show. It is still running the show. And as I'm talking to you, I'm beginning to see all of the little causes that brought about this incident, this bridge of incidents. I'm beginning to see them. Very intriguing, I tell you, very intriguing. Contentment is the knowing that you know how to apply the principles to bring about deliberate change. Happiness comes from that knowing as well. Peace of mind comes from that knowing. Health comes from that knowing. Wealth comes from that knowing. Relationships come from that knowing. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It comes from a place of knowing, and we know, and that is how we act every single day. So it was funny. When you're breaking the pallet, right? You're cutting the plastic off to get to the supplies on the inside. And you're looking, if somebody says, well, did you get this shipment today? Do you know what I go and I pick up? The manifest. Why did I pick up the manifest? To read it. They're asking for cut water. You don't ask for that though, because you know what, I'm done. Uh, they're asking for a particular wine. What do? You get the manifest and you read it. You don't have to go and break the pallet to find it. Look at the manifest and it will tell you what is inside the pallet. Again, this is where you don't incur force. Because if you didn't see the manifest, what do? You break apart the pallet and you start moving things to get at the middle because you can't see what's in the middle. Trying to find this product. But the easier thing, the path of least resistance, is to what? Read the manifest, because it will tell you what's inside. So obviously, manifestation has to do with seeing the contents of your own mind, which would be your behaviors. It will tell you what is within you. So people say, but you shouldn't look at the 3D. Neville Goddard says to deny your senses. Insert face palm right here. He said deny, not ignore. You cannot ignore what is happening on the outside. You have to use it as a barometer to tell you what is on the inside of you. Because when you begin to see what is within, you will understand why the quote unquote 3D has molded and shaped itself in that fashion and why you are having that experience. Because then you would know, oh snap, look at that. That's the principle of correspondence. I am dealing with this issue because of what I have on the inside. That is my mood. Well, then, let me change my mood. What do I do that change? Some people clean to change their mood. Shoot, I got to change my mood to clean. But you know what? It's all good. To each his own. Cleaning is not my, you know, idea of fun. But if I turn on the music and I dance, sometimes I dance more than I clean, but at least I have changed. Oh, 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 good morning, handsome. Little Pookie is awake. It's very intriguing when we look out into the world and we look at our lives and we ask ourselves, what do I want this day to be like? Remember, this day is only a piece of the puzzle. What kind of life do you want? Well, that depends. What kind of actions do you want to do throughout your life? You see, we start with the day because as you build upon the day, it accumulates. And then you can see what a week would look like, what a month would look like. Well, a week, a fortnight, a month, right? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. All start from that initial place. So again, to be content, to be or not to be. I couldn't help myself, you know Shakespeare. And I was reading a comment and this lady was saying how um, if she could take her own advice. And of course I flashed right over to Shakespeare. When Portia says, if I could be one of the 20 to take my own advice. Well, that tells us something. It tells us something about ourselves. If I could be one to take my own advice. Which means it's a simple thing. I say it is simple because it is. And all of the things that we presently find to be simple in our lives are things that we have done over and over and over. Unless, of course, you're talking about sourdough. That's a different day. I still have not started making a starter yet because I feel as though I cannot commit. You have to feed it the same amount, the same time every day and keep it in the same temperature. Huh. What does that sound like to you? Sounds like a habit. So as soon as I started telling you about it, I saw my very first sourloaf artisan, my very first one, and I was so pleased. I have to go back to that and see it all over again and change my mood from feeling defeated. Of course, it seems trivial to you. It seems trivial to you. Oh my God, sourdough bread, really? Yeah, you can apply the law to anything. Everything. The sourdough is not the one with the problem. Sourdough is not the one with the problem. It is just fermented. It doesn't have a problem. It doesn't make itself. I initiate that. I mix the flour and the water in equal amounts to get a starter. And I'm laying here and I'm telling you, because I feel defeated at the fact that sourdough whooped my arse, I haven't touched it. I have not lifted a finger to do it again. Why? Because I'm afraid of failing. So all of these weeks have gone by, months actually, and I've just put it on the back burner. But I want the bread. So until that thing within me, that mood, until I change it, I shall remain not making that sourdough. So when I tell you that it is simple, the very same principle applies to if you say, I want to lose weight. Well, then you would realize what you're talking about. Do you want to lose weight or do you want to be healthy? Because we tend to fixate on things, which is natural. The thing that you care about the most will hold your attention naturally. Thus, we call it fixating. So, you see, when you know, you don't have to fret or beat yourself up. You become content. You see, because we think contentment means you just put up with a little bit. You just, whatever. If the Lord wills. That's what we think contentment means. I know there's a saying about contentment in Barbados, but I can't remember it right now. I'll have to ask my mother or my father because I know there is one, but I cannot remember it. I've heard it, but I can't recall it. So it is not something that we chase, it is an effect. It has its own cause. The cause of contentment is the knowing that you can change your life deliberately. So if you're sitting here today and you're feeling perhaps, well, that sounds all fine and good, Angela. But you know what? You're not the one who's been dealing with this for 20 some years. You're not the one who's been dealing with this for even 2 months. So how would you know it's simple? That's just all fancy talk. Well, here's how we put it into action. That fancy talk. Identify where you presently are. How would you know where you are? Because of what you're doing. What is it that you are doing that brings you such angst that you think you've been struggling with? You know exactly what it is. You can see it. Shoot, you can smell it. You can taste it. You can touch it. Yes. Good. This is the best place. The best place is a place of knowing. Hello. Hey. So now that you know what it is, because of what you're doing, you can see what you're doing, right? So sometimes it helps you to write it down so you can see what you're doing. Hello, manifest. When you can see the behavior and write it down, now you begin to see what is inside that's causing this behavior. It is the manifest. That's why you write it down so you can get a sense of yourself, your bearings. You say, okay, I do this. This is what I'm presently doing. I presently lose my cool. And I presently cuss anybody out. I presently get walked all over. Ah, good. Write it down. And on the other sheet of paper, because you see where you are, what action? So if you say you're tired of losing your cool, but then obviously you would want to be more level headed, more calm. Obviously. If you say I get walked all over all the time, so you say I'm a doormat, well, then you want courage on the other side. You want to be bold. You want to stand up for yourself. So that's what you write on the other side. That's the behavior you want to do. So now that you got that part figured out, how do you get there? Well, in your memory bank, you can see all of the times that you can recall that somebody's walked all over you, overlooked you, didn't listen to you. You can see all of those times. Can you not? Of course you can. They're called memories. So if you can see them there, then can you not see what behavior you would rather be exhibiting? Well, then you start to see that behavior. Because scientists would tell you this, that the quote unquote brain doesn't know if you're uh, looking at the future or the past. It is you who identifies them and puts them in a time frame. Take away the time frame and simply imagine, because that's what you're doing right now anyway. You are recalling in your imagination, in your mind's eye, how you have been mistreated. So begin to use that exact same imagination, because there's only one. And you look at, how do I want to be treated? And you start seeing yourself be treated in the fashion you want to be treated in. And you know how sometimes we go back to the old memory and you go, yeah, I remember what they did to me. I remember how that made me feel. I remember it and I don't like it. Well, do it the same way. Neville Goddard, quote unquote, has a technique called I remember when. You bring the quote unquote unreachable future into right here and now, because you're doing the exact same thing. You are saying to yourself, I remember when they treated me like I was trash. I remember when. I remember when people started treating me better. I remember when I could walk into a room and light it up. I remember when. You're just doing the same thing. But instead of remembering the past, you have removed past, present, and future. Why? Past has a mood. All I gotta do is say certain words of the past. Holocaust. It has a mood, does it not? Civil rights movement has a mood. The past has a mood. The present has a mood. The future has its own mood. Which mood will you select? Choose the mood. And from that mood, now you'll begin to see yourself doing what you want to be doing. You will see yourself behaving in the way that you want to behave in. And to remove the time from it. Because when you're in the future, you say what? I don't know if I can actually do that. I don't think it's possible. If you go to the past, what happens? Man, it used to be like this. I don't trust nobody nowadays. It used to be like that. Man, somebody shows you who they are. It used to be. You see where you are? Go down the middle to the present and be it. That's why Neville says, experience. Experience in imagination. Because that's what you're doing when you live in the past. You are it's not happening to you again. You are just experiencing it in your imagination. So imagination is not faking or making believe. It is the memory. It is the going back into the recesses of your mind in those places you used to be in. Those memories. Well, imagination, you're seeing it in your mind's eye. Image within. Okay? So when you begin to quote unquote imagine, all you're doing is seeing in your mind's eye. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you're seeing it. So you get in there and you say, you know what? I'd be doing this. I'd be doing this action. And you begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you change. Well, the behavior changes. You have changed. You have to change to do the new behavior. If you do the old behavior, you're the old person. You do the new behavior, you're the new person. Hello? So this is how we put it into action over and over and over again. So how do we get to say, oh my God, I've been doing this my whole life? Just make it a habit. And how do you make it a habit? Doing it the same way every time. Simple. Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. And it just looks like he's cleaning the car. You're not teaching me how to fight. I'm just wasting my time. And he gets mad. And then the teacher says, fine, let's fight. I don't know how to fight. Wax on. He blocks the move. Wax off. Blocks him. He's like, oh my God, I'm fighting. Yeah. It is the actions that we do sometimes that we don't see, that we don't pay attention to. And we live our lives from that place. And the only way to get it is to do it over and over again. So you must continually experience in imagination because that is what you're doing every day, all day. Experience in imagination what you, not what George would be doing, not what Susie May would be doing, not what Linda would be doing, but what you. Yeah, but her life is better than mine. What you would be doing. And sometimes we don't know what we would be doing because we're busy caught up looking at what she or he is doing. What would you be doing? Then rehearse that. Oh, Angela, I don't have time for that. I want this change now. The sooner you start, the sooner you start. Because you're only imagining anyway. You are only imagining anyway. And the way, the thing that you imagine, you see that mood, the way it makes you feel, you know exactly how you're going to act. Oh, indeed, you do. So can you change your life? Of course you can. Think about it. If you change your life, how many people are here? I don't know who's on YouTube, but oh, there's 12 people in fan base. What? Hello, Miss Tiffany. You see, that's about 13 or 14 people. If each individual changes their life to live in the fashion that they wanted to live in, it affects the world around you. Why is that? Because it changes the way you interact with people. You now become a cause deliberately. And the cause that you have now chosen to become has its effect. So you see, you're not just changing yourself. You're changing the world by default. By default, yes, cause and effect. The change that happens within you happens on the outside of you. So if you're changing the outside by changing the inside, well, then the world can only change if each person changes. Well, as within, so without. This is how it's done. So see the big picture. See the big picture. You can heal the world by healing the self. And how does one heal the self? The mood. The mood. What would a healed version of you be doing? It's a question, isn't it? What would you be doing? Then begin to experience it in your mind's eye. Over and over again, because you know what repetition does. Repetition sets down a pathway. I keep telling you, I'm not making it up. Go to the field and you're going to see the footpath. You're going to see the footpath and you're going to see the tall grass. Where are you going to go? How are you going to get across that field? You're going to take the high grass or are you going to take the footpath that's already set down? And how did the footpath get set down? People walked all over it over and over and over and over and over again until the pathway emerged. This is why repetition, aka persistence, in what you want to become in that action will bring about your change. But you must get in the mood of it. Get in the mood of your change. Then your thoughts will change, your words will change, and dun, your actions will change, thereby changing the way you behave in the world, thus the way you are treated in the world. So this glorious Friday, what are we going to do? Remain as we are? Or will we say, wait a minute? Now wait a minute. Sister Act, I digress. What are we going to do? You need to understand you can do this. You can do this. I don't want to be corny and say, it is your destiny. You can do it. But it's so hard. One action. Repeated. Just one. Just do one thing. One thing. Change the mood. Just do that one thing and remain persistent in changing it. Every time you feel yourself fall from it, you say, oh, wait a minute. No, let's go back to this mood. I can't sustain the mood. I can't hold the mood indefinitely, but I can make it a habit to always be in this mood. Just start with one thing. You know, they say don't bite off more than you can chew. Why? 'Cause you gonna choke. It'll overwhelm the space in your mouth. Small increments, my friends, has a cumulative effect. Anyway, welcome to everybody. Miss Tiffany, my sweet Casey, my lovely Scotch bonnet, Miss McQueen. Maggie, darling, I see you. I see you, my sweet. Ray is in the house. Oh, Miss Lorna. My, it has been a long time since I've seen you. It has. Welcome back. Moon and dolphin that flow smiles. Oh, afternoon delight is in the house. Oh, Maria, Maria. You remind me of a West Side Story. I could have helped myself, Maria. There's it. Reacher, I see you. I see you. Speaking of Reacher, a man came into the store last night looking just like him. And I said, you go on with your Reacher looking self. Jessamine, I see you. If I didn't call your name on Fanbase, I didn't see you. Let me pop into the chat real quick. Joyful, joyful Lord, we adore thee. We used to sing that when I was in church, but you know what? That's a different day, Jessamine. uh, uh. I'm just reading um the chat. Oh, I'm all out of love. Oh, I gotta renew my loves. Adnan was in the space. Adnan, I don't know who Adnan is. I've never said his name or her name before, but it's good. Welcome to the space. Well then, Delight. That's exactly it. The inventory. Yes, the inventory, always. Anyway, Miss Tiffany, I see you, darling. Remember to Javion for me, as always. Now, I didn't say Miss Liza's name, but I will say it. And then I'll say Ray of Sunshine. I'll say The Better Man. I'll say Stepping with Faith. That is a name I have not said in quite some time on this channel. Stepping with Faith. I should message her. So anyway, I have nattered on quite enough according to YouTube. It keeps time. But I trust that today you will test through observation. Watch yourself. Oh, mystical. Oh my goodness. Just know that you can do it. So I said, just know. That is the principle of mentalism. Knowing. The all is. Is. So, how are you going to know if you're getting it? Practice. What else is there to do? You have to practice. Far be it for me to sit here and beat you every day, but you do have to practice. You don't have to force yourself to practice either. If you simply change the mood to one of excitement, you're like, okay, let me see. Can I really do this? Can I really change my life? I wonder if let me see if I can do it. Know where I'm at and know my destination. Because if I know my destination, the pathway opens up for me to go. That's not woo-woo. That's called driving 101. You know your destination, you will take the appropriate route. And sometimes there's more than one way. Is there a faster way? Is there a shorter way? Yes. It depends on the level of excitement, how fast you want to get where you're going. You'll take the shortest route because you're excited to get there. Oh, indeed. So you start with the mood. Just change it to one of curiosity. I wonder if you could change your mood to one of a scientist, and they're always testing a hypothesis. So why don't you test a theory? A hypothesis is a theory you can test. Thank you, Buddy the dinosaur. So get the excitement. Get in that mood. We all know about moods, don't we? Let me play some Barry White. Teddy Pendergrass. The Luther Vandross. She says she wants some Marvin Gaye. So, you know what? Let me stop with Jamie Foxx. a whole nother mood. You get the picture now, right? Yes, you start to stoke the fire, stoke the embers of your curiosity. Can I change? What's the outcome of asking? Being answered. So can you? Of course you can. Ow. Anyway, don't let me keep you. Oh, Miss Deborah. Oh, I see you. So, anywho, my beautiful friends, I have prattled on enough today. I trust that you have gleaned something. You know, Ruth and Boaz. Not the Netflix one, because that, I don't know how that one got so racy, but I just saw the commercial for it. But the story of Ruth and Boaz, when he would leave stuff, wheat in the back of the, after they were done cutting stuff, he'd leave stuff in the field for her and she would glean it. She'd pick it up. That's what glean means, to pick it up. So I trust that you've gleaned some information that you will apply. If not, you can slide into my DMs and ask away. And I'll give you the principles all over again. And on that note, if you want to learn the principles on your own, yes, you can. That link in my link tree, Flow Smiles, please tell me I have it on. I forget if I turn that little button on so that people can access the cards. Finally. Oh my God. The cards are finally here. For those who have already prepaid, yours are coming. I just have to figure it out. Flow Smiles is going to help me figure it out. How to transfer the money from Patreon over to that platform to pay for them. So, for those of you who have prepaid, you don't have to do it again. But if you want the cards, the link in my link tree is under my YouTube video. It's not on Twitter. But I'll post it there too. You pull a card every day and there's a law. There's a principle on it. With the explanation. Apply it to your situation on a daily basis. That's what I had to do. You just gotta memorize them. That's the beginning. Anyway, countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Aw, Miss Tiffany. I love you too, dearest. I do. I'll see y'all on Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, yes. The boy is awake, and then the chickens are awake, and they're not going to feed themselves. So let's get up and go feed them. Okay. I'll see y'all on Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and fan base. Okay?